Right now, I'm focused on trying to learn the plays, trying to learn the coverages, the game plan, assignment. I don't have time to really think about history.
Oh, heck yeah. I wish you guys were just saying, hey, Michael Sam, how's football going? How's training going? I would love for you to answer me that question. But it is what it is, and I just wish you guys will see me as Michael Sam, the football player, instead of Michael Sam, the gay football player. I've been in locker rooms that where all kinds of slurs been said. I think they're a little naive and uneducated, but, as time goes on, everyone will adapt.
More giant steps when it comes to gay issues, gay acceptance in sports this weekend, whether it's collective shrugs or standing O's at away games here. You got Jason Collins taking the court for the Nets, first openly gay player in any of the major 4 American team sports. Michael Sam speaking out at the NFL Combine as he preps here to likely become the first openly gay player in the NFL. Pro sports world widely considered one of the last major arenas where gay acceptance has been an issue, and that is clearly changing before our eyes. But at the same time, we are still seeing giant steps back in the political and legal world. For example, take Arizona, where the state legislature has approved a bill that would allow businesses to cite religious beliefs as a reason not to serve gays and lesbians based solely on their sexual preferences. Republican Governor Jan Brewer, she's got till the end of this week to either sign or to veto the bill, and she's not saying which way she will lean, despite both Arizona's U.S. senators, both McCain and Flake, calling for her to veto the bill. And I'm not just talking about Arizona. Similar measure passed in part of the Kansas legislature, though it appears to have stalled, and other bills are up for debate in Idaho, Utah, and Ohio. And Jeannie, this is one of those issues in our lifetime that we see change before our eyes. Politically, I know all politics are local, but it's just a dangerous moment for Republicans in the midterm election season where people, even if it's not in their state, are going to have to answer the same kind of question.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Governor Brewer should veto that bill. McCain and Flake are absolutely right. But you're right to the extent that there's differences when you look at the local politics versus the statewide and the national. And that's what these people have to contend with as they make these decisions. But this, I think, personally, is a moral issue, and she's got to make the moral decision on this. And I hope she makes the right one. But, they will be hit depending on the district for these kind of votes.
See, I thought it was an easy out, Andrew, if all you got to do is turn around and say, wait a minute, what would you say to me if I said I wouldn't want to serve people of color, or I don't want to serve women in my restaurant or whatever else? You'd call that, bigotry or racism or whatever else. Why should I do it here?
There aren't a whole lot of politicians who are doing this, for any reason other than they think it's going to get them votes. And stoking fear and playing to fears has always been an effective way of ginning up votes. That's where you're seeing the calculations in all of this. People will dash their moral compass even if they believe in something, if they think it'll get them more votes.
But where else are Republicans going to go if they say I can't abide by this? You think McCain's going to get hurt or Flake the next time they're up for re-election?
But you're talking about Arizona, you're talking about Kansas, you're talking about parts of you're talking Idaho, you're talking about states where there is a very religious conservative bent, and that has come out to play, particularly in off-year elections like the one we're headed for this year.
Though, Dom, that even if you're not running for election there, if you're running for Senate in Oklahoma this year, you're running for Senate or Congress in other races, people are going to ask you the question, how would you vote if the bill came before your desk? They're setting up a litmus test here that's going to be tough to defend, especially on the generational issue, and Jeannie's gone through the polls here. You look in the under 35 population, Republicans, not just Democrats, Republican voters think this is crazy. Overwhelmingly, they would oppose an idea.
I don't know, Richard, and I hate to be the one to break this to you, but in those states that you mentioned, there's a base for these types of arguments. Now, you may think it's ridiculous. I may think it's ridiculous. Everybody at this table. But I am telling you, having visited several of those states, there's a base for that particular type of argument that will draw votes, as Andrew said.
And they're couching it in religious freedom. They're saying you're forcing me to go against my religious belief by baking a cake for this lesbian wedding or whatever the case may be. And with that defense in religion, again, as Dominic said, as much as we may not agree with it.
Okay, but you know what, Tom? If all of a sudden when the Nets go to Utah and they go play a game at the Jazz, do we really think the good people of Salt Lake City are going to boo Jason Collins when he's introduced? Or if Michael Sam is drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars in northern Florida, that they're going to protest him being on the team? I think people are misreading, the velocity of this issue and how minds are changing.
I think that I just shake my head when I have a governor of my party in a state like Arizona who has to think about this. Now, quite frankly, part of me is almost like, you know what, they want the damn law, in fact, the damn law, and don't have anybody ever go to that damn restaurant. And let's protest that restaurant owner who dares do that, et cetera, et cetera. But this is a problem for my party. It is a problem that we fight every single day. I respect the generational side, people that I know that are in their 70s and 80s who are opposed to gay marriage, who have no issue, who would never do anything to a gay person, but just don't think that marriage should be. I understand it's a generational thing, but for a legislature to come out and pass legislation like this is just beneath us as a people. I mean, and it's something that as Andrew, I think, raised, is that, look, it is going to consistently around the country hurt us when candidates running in New York, that they're going to ask Rob Astorino, what would you do? And then what happens is it puts them in a position to answer a question that has nothing to do with this state, and it winds off ticking off 5,000 people across the state who agree with Arizona.
And if we gave him free political advice, he would say, listen, I understand and respect people's opinions, but I don't believe in bigotry of any kind.
Of course.
And if he said that, I think he'd be surprised, and people in Arizona would be surprised. They'd win more supporters than they wouldn't, because it would do that rare thing in politics where you show courage to stand up for something.
That's why I think we should say that McCain and Flake deserve kudos for coming out. It's not easy to do. I mean, we've seen McCain attacked in Arizona by the Republican Party. And so, you know, for them to come out.
And he won, Jeannie. That's the point. And he won. That should be an example to more politicians, that there are people you're always going to hear from the negative, from the naysayers. When you stand up, you find a lot of people rise to say, you know what, that's the adult in the room. That's who I want to support.
Yeah.
Exactly. We come back on RFL. Is it time for a smaller American military? It's happening. Defense Secretary today out with plans for our smallest army since World War II, since before World War II. But does that fit with our global role or politics? Yes, it's an election year. We'll get into that after this.